Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'll show you how I painted this goose with 100% watercolors, and this is my latest tutorial on my Patreon, the link to which I'll be leaving in the description box below. The reference picture I've taken for this is from pixabay.com, which is a copyright free website. So before mixing colors, I'm just protecting the white space of my paper, and let's start mixing colors for the eye and the beak. So I take Cinelia Yellow Deep, and orange is transparent pyrrole orange from Core Golden Paints. And next I mix orange with Cinelia Red to get a deeper red color. Orangey red color. And I also be keeping some lemon yellow at the side. So these are the colors for the beak and the eye, and I can see a little bit of blue in the iris of the eye, so I'll be taking cobalt blue for that. And for the black, I'll be using neutral tint from Winsor & Newton. This is my favorite gray or black color, and on its own it looks like this. And I'll be using this color for all the shadows, the cooler blues. For the cooler grays, I'll be using blue with neutral tint, and for the warmer grays, I'll be using yellow with neutral tint. Right. So I'm using size 2 brush here, and this brush is from Princeton Velvet Touch long round brush. And as for any portraits, whether it's a bird, animal, or even human, I love to start with the eye. So I'll just start with Cinnamon Yellow for the eyelid and just go over it with a little bit of orange. For the beak, I give a layer of water first, and then I drop in lemon yellow first, and on that lemon yellow I drop in orange and red wherever I see it in the reference picture, leaving the gap for the very dark shadow area. And for the iris, I'm painting in a little bit of cobalt blue. And now after everything is dry, I go in with black for the pupil of the eye and even the shadow in between the lower and the upper beak. Let each and every area dry completely, because these are like very tiny areas and your color should not bleed into each other. After the eye and the beak is done, now I'm preparing color for the body. So this is cool gray, which I've mixed by mixing cobalt blue with neutral tint. I'm also keeping some cobalt blue on its own. Then for the warmer gray, I'll be taking uh, quinacridone gold with neutral tint with lots and lots of water. Okay, so this is the color we'll be using. I'll be also keeping some yellows on the side wherever I feel that I see some yellow glazing to be required, and a little bit of neutral tint also on its own. So I start with the shadow on the cheek first, which is the deepest shadow on this area, and I drop in wherever I see warm gray. I drop in warmer gray, and wherever I see cooler gray. This will be the challenge, to identify where you can see more cooler gray and where you can see warmer gray. For the very darkest shadows, I'm just using neutral tint on its own. Now the technique that I have used for this bird is literally like using brush as a pencil. So use very light watery colors and work in layers. We don't want to make any shadow very dark very soon. So I let the colors dry, and then if I feel that it needs to be more darker, then I come in with more and more colors. So this is the technique. That's why it takes time, because it's a wide subject. It's a little bit tricky, and this is a fast-paced video here on YouTube, but on Patreon it's in real time, and it's 4 hours long. So I also give a little bit of blue wherever I see that blue color, and a little bit of yellow glazing as well. So we'll be using a lot of glazing technique also over here. Also pay attention to the direction of those feathers and even the length of those feathers. Somewhere they are like very tiny small feathers and somewhere they are long strokes. And from time to time I just tilt my painting and the reference picture, I mean invert it, and work from different angles, different perspective to give it a fresh approach. So, especially on a complicated painting like this, sometimes you get stuck and your eyes get saturated by seeing the same uh, area with, for a very long time. So, I would really advise you to, do this technique from time to time on paintings such as these. So from this angle, I just feel that the shadows need to go a little bit more darker. So very cautiously, I come in with more layers, and then I just glaze over it with very light yellow. Layering is a very important part of my technique in watercolor, and using very watery transparent colors, I'm able to layer without losing any luminosity of the paint. After the neck is done, I start working on the body of the bird, and I always prefer going, painting my strokes from top to bottom. So I keep on tilting my painting. I know many artists, they just paint in the same, in a proper way, but I can't do that. Now for the very deeper shadows, I'm using this cool gray, and as you can see, though it's so dark in the reference picture and in the first wash, I don't go very dark. I keep on building up those things in layer and leave enough lighter gaps in between for those very brighter highlights, the white feathers, because after all this is a white bird, so don't paint everything super dark. For the bottom part of the bird, it's getting reflected light from the feet, from the color of the feet, and also the road which it's walking on. So all those colors will be reflected on the white feathers. So, and that makes it the most interesting part of the painting. So I work in small areas on each part of the feather, identifying the shadows first, and then going in with midtones and then the brightest tones. There are some accents of yellow, so I paint in those also first, so that I don't miss them and just paint it gray. Leaving that area now, I start working on the tail feathers. So again, leaving enough lighter gaps and also giving these yellow accents. Patience is the key factor whenever you work painting birds, because as a realistic artist, I love to put in all the details, make it as real as the photograph itself. So patience is a must factor. And whenever you feel that any of your strokes are looking a little harsh, then just go over it with a clean damp brush to soften those feathers, because end of the day, all the strokes should really look as soft as the feathers are. Whenever I'm painting a white subject, I always look out for these reflected lights and lights even in the shadow areas, because that really makes or breaks a painting. So for a successful painting, it your selection of the reference picture is the first step. If your reference picture is good like this, like with having enough shadows and very strong lights, then you can create a good painting. If this bird was in a very soft neutral light and not very strong shadows or highlights anywhere, then it would look very flat because we are painting also on a white background. So always search for reference pictures which has really strong lights. So I paint in parts, painting each and every part of these feathers. Keeping the washes very transparent, very light, as you can see. So use a brush which has really pointy point, which has a nice point, because as I told you, we'll be working with the paint as if we are working with pencil. And for this painting, I have not used pencil at all or any white paint. We'll be only using watercolors, and whatever white part you're seeing will be the, you know, watercolors itself. Time to time, I come in on the very deepest shadows to darken it more, because your shadow should be as dark as you see in the reference picture, and your highlights again should be, as bright as the reference picture. Creating a good contrast will make your drawing pop off the page. So don't be scared of darkening your darkest part of the painting. So in between, keep on having a tonal value check. So I start working on the bottommost part of the belly and give a very light wash of blue and then a little bit of orange. After I give a light wash, then I go in with grays on the darker shadow areas, always following the direction of the feathers and leaving enough white for that tuft of feather which is falling on the right foot. Now I start working on the edge of this, the right part of this bird, giving enough darker shadows. From time to time, I keep on coming on the same areas to deepen the colors more, because the moment we start working on the surrounding areas, then you will feel that the areas that you've already worked on, needs more saturation. So painting is nothing but comparing tones, and the first stroke when you apply, you're comparing it with the blank paper. So and as you keep on progressing on the painting, then you have to keep on comparing to the colors that you have applied. So it's all like a game of coming back, and your eyes and brain, they keep on comparing it with the surrounding color. So you keep on adjusting the tonal values. Right. So now, after I finished at this stage, I just felt that the white part of the body is looking too stark. So if you compare this with the reference image, then you will feel that there is a little bit of that sunlight glow on the entire bird. So I'm just going to give a very light wash of lemon yellow plus little bit of quinacridone gold. Okay, just a very light tea wash. So after, for this, the painting has to be completely dry. So I take my size 6 brush and I take very watery version of this color, and I start with the face over here, which I feel it's too much in that yellow light, and go on the neck, and then very pale on the top part of the body. And of course I leave areas little bit white as well. where it's receiving the maximum light. This step is completely optional. You can even go with, I mean, you can just not color it, or maybe you can just go with a very light blue color also. But I just felt that since this, it's really receiving strong sunlight and shadows, yellow would really look well. And yellow color becomes very light after drying, so don't worry, but still you start with very very watery pale wash, and if you feel that it needs a little bit more, then you can come with more color. And after I gave this yellow glaze, I immediately saw that all my shadows really need to go more darker. Usually, I do this at the very end of my painting, especially after painting the darkest areas, such as the feet and the dark cast shadow on the ground. But even at this stage, I felt that the shadows need to go a little bit more darker. Of course, after I finish the whole painting, then I'll be again coming on the bird and doing the same thing. As I told you, this is a game of just keep on, coming back and adjusting the tonal values, the shadows and the highlights. So here, especially on the belly region, it needs to go a little bit more darker. And now this step will be different on each and everybody's paintings. If you were too scared to put too dark shadows, then you might require more layers, or if you were too dark, then you need to check whether you want to go more dark or not. So it all depends on how much dark you have gone up till now. So, with regular practice, with any medium, especially in realistic style, your understanding of tonal values will become more and more um, pronounced. And the best way to check that is, tilt your board, look at your painting upside down, or, look your painting take your painting to a mirror and look through it, or take a photograph. And usually whenever we take a photograph, the small size of the painting will definitely show you whether you need to adjust your tonal values or not. And you can see how much more dark I had to go compared to the previous stage. Okay, so after the bird is done, well, almost done, I start now coming and mixing colors for the feet. And the feet, I want to match them to the beak, so I'll be mixing the yellows and the reds. But here I've also mixed a little bit of rose madder lake to the red, just make it more pinker. And of course, I'll be using a deep red for the shadows, for which I've used permanent alizarin crimson with a little bit of cyanine blue to make it more dark. Now for the very dark cast shadow, I have used French ultramarine blue with the neutral tint, and this color which I am making is for the claws, which is just three primaries: quinacridone gold plus cenelia red plus phthalo blue. So I paint in the shadow areas of the claws first, and then I start painting the feet. So I start with the very light yellowish orange and use that as a base, and then just drop in the reds and the deeper reds, and I leave a little bit of gaps in between. I come in with dots and dashes to replicate the texture that you see on the feet of the bird. This is just the first layer which I'll be doing wet on wet. So I'm using yellow as a base instead of water, and then I'm just dropping in more deeper colors. Same thing I do on the other feet, and you can see the texture that I am creating with those red and the maroons. Now, while that first layer is drying, I'm just going to paint in the cast shadow. So I wet the paper first and I'll be working wet on wet, and then I drop this deep dark blue color and make it more darker, especially near the feet. And I then later on I just drop some droplets of phthalocyanine blue to create some texture, because it's walking on the road, and you can see the texture of the road on the um, cast shadow. And for the cast shadow, I'm not going to paint it as dark as you see in the reference picture, because that is almost black. And if I paint it completely black, then it will take away the viewer's attention from it will take away the focus from the bird to the shadow, which I don't want. So I'm going to leave it light as this, only just darkening a little bit more near the feet. But again, it's up to you, but I just feel that the focus should be completely on the bird and not on the shadow. The shadow will be like complementing the bird. So after this first layer of shadow is done, then I work on the second layer of the feet. So I bring in more deeper colors, and this I'm working with wet on dry and creating more of that texture. On my Patreon, I explain all these steps in more detail, because it's in real time, and I explain each and every whys and hows and all those. So if you're interested, do join me over there. And now, after painting the shadow, I just feel that this shadow color, especially the cast shadow color, should reflect a little bit on the bird itself. So this darker blue, I'm just giving in where all those deeper shadows are. So with this, we come to the end of the painting, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And if you like the content over here, then please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming in with more videos every month. So I'll see you in the next video then. Bye bye.